on this episode of In the Rack podcast.
Everything that's structured and built out is for a reason on every single one of these retreats. There's a guided workshop every day that's helping you with mental toughness, learning how to train properly, learning nutrition, learning recovery, sitting down and developing action plans for your goals and all of that, right? So, and then there's actually...
What you got? Welcome to In the Rack podcast, where we provide you with a practical framework for breaking PRs in all facets of health and wellness. We are just a couple of bros giving you the simple hows in a world of complex whats. No filters, no scripts, no rules, just straight talk.
Talk to him.
Now, let's get into the rack with your hosts, Dr. Chad and Dr. Nick.
All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of In the Rack podcast. I'm your host, Chad, and with me today, I have Nikki Alliegro back on the podcast. Nick is normally with me. He's not with me here today just because this is a special podcast in the fact that we're talking about a retreat that we have coming up. You might have seen it on social media. You might have not. But Nikki's company, The Fit Traveler, is not only does she do personal training, not only does she do coaching, but she also does retreats pretty much multiple times a year. One of those retreats just happens to be in Aruba, which is in July. So July 16th to the 22nd, I believe, right?
Yep.
Did I get those days? Okay, cool. I hope I know because I'm actually going this year. So that's going to be fun. And this is the first time that she's actually allowing men to go. Yeah. Normally it's just women that goes, but she's had a lot of interest in guys that are interested in going on these retreats, whether it be spouses, whether it just be people that are just interested in doing retreats for themselves, overall well-being. And she's now opening up the door to hey, let's get some men in here and let's have a good time, right? So this is the first time ever she's doing that. Now there's going to be a certain structure to this. Like there are two houses, so there will be a men's house and a women's house. So Nikki is obviously in the women's house. I will be in the men's house. And not only is it going to be a retreat in terms of, there's going to be structure, there's going to be daily training, there's going to be mindset workshops, there's going to be real conversations had. It's going to be a all-encompassing retreat, which is actually going to be really fun. And throughout this podcast, I want to talk about what is involved, what this retreat entails. And, we're going to dive probably a little bit deeper into the fact of, hey, this is why she's actually getting men involved, because there is a situation where, men do need spaces like this as well. Women do, men do, we all do, right? So, this might be a wake-up call for some of you that might either feel stuck or you're isolated or, maybe you just feel like you could be capable of more, right? And maybe this could be an experience that may allow you to open up that window of opportunity for yourself. So let's get into it. You ready?
Yeah, I'm excited. All
right. So this is the first co-ed retreat.
Yes.
And it is July 16th to the 22nd. There's two separate houses. And it's a vacation, but it's more of a reset, I would call it, more or less, for some people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great way to learn more about yourself, as well as, maybe start to incorporate certain things into your life that might improve your overall well-being, I would think. Yeah. So Nikki, why don't you start with giving us the big picture about this retreat? Like, how did it all start? And, why are you now saying, hey, men, let's go. Let's get in on this.
Okay. So this retreat, so the Aruba one specifically that's home base for my retreats. It's the very first one that I did. It's every single year. I bring a group of people there. It's like I've said in the past, it's my second home. So my gym's there. A lot of the people that I work with there and everything give this trip like that extra experience for my guests and everything. So it was important for me to make sure that this was the location to do the co-ed one. And then I've always, since the beginning, when I was first putting together retreats, I was thinking of doing them all co-ed. And then the first one, I had just more women booking into the spaces. And I said, you know what, I just have one house. I have to figure out a different way to do this. This was back in 2021, I think, was the first one. So I said, okay, this is going to be all women. And then the next one came around and I said, okay, this is going to be all women, but let me see if I can figure out a way to incorporate men. And it just wasn't working. Like nothing was fitting the way that I needed it to, because a really important part of this is that everything that's structured and built out is for a reason on every single one of these retreats. There's a guided workshop every day that's helping you with mental toughness, learning how to train properly, learning nutrition, learning recovery, learning, sitting down and developing action plans for your goals and all of that, right? So, and then there's actually training in the gym. There's training at different types of facilities and places where maybe you've never gotten to do something before, like MMA or CrossFit or whatever it is. And then there's excursions and things like that. But nothing was working as far as how can I do this in a way that doesn't scare people, to just be like thrown into houses all together everywhere, to have like the situation, I had to make it make sense. So the first thing was obviously like, okay, I need a guy's house and a girl's house. People come on these trips, they're married.
Sure.
But then also at the same time, we're not here for that. We're here to get better, to develop friendships, get to know each other. All the activities are done together with the exception of some of the mindset workshops. I have those, and we can go into that later, but separated a certain way for parts of them to give each group space to really talk. But I needed to also then find the right team member to come with me on this trip, to hold down the guy's house for me. And again, to make it all make sense so that it really was what needed to happen to actually help people get better and to be better. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you had to say, what would make this experience, like say going to a retreat, different than say, I'm just going to work with Nikki online, we're just going to do some coaching. Like what would be the benefit to doing like a retreat where you're doing more of an in-person experience versus doing something through like remote?
Yep. So this is even more different and more involved than, my clients that I get to see 3 times a week.
Sure.
So 4 times a week, they'll come on trips because you're getting coached the entire week. So when you're in a house with a group of people that are like-minded and trying to learn and be better and grow, most of the people in the house, everybody's there for a reason, but a lot of people don't even know that they can establish and use these habits and these skills when they get home, just because they haven't been put in an environment that allows them to wake up early, to go out for a hike early, to make sure you get all your meals in, that you're cooking at home, to not have alcohol in the house. Like there's so many different aspects of it where now you're living in a house with a group of people that want to learn these things. So everyone ends up getting up on their own. They're making coffee early, like earlier than I get up there. And I wake up early. But they're cooking breakfast. They're creating like dinners and meals and lunches to like show each other how to cook different things. And that it's like you just kind of let it unfold in front of you. And then they're able to take all these habits. They've done it for an entire week, for 7 days, nonstop. Every single day we're exercising. We're doing something outside. All of these things. We're having downtime. We're reading, working on like thinking about things, self-reflecting, all that. And now they've seen that they can do this as a regular part of life. And that's different than, seeing somebody for an hour once a week or 3 times a week or online, talking to them through messaging or the app or whatever it is. It's just different to be actually living it in person. So, and have coaching the whole way.
It's funny too, because this is going to be a great experience for people that are just like, either you have some people that are like, it must be easy for you, right? Like it just comes naturally that you're just fit, right? And then it's the other people that are just like, how do you do it? How do you manage all of these meals? How do you manage this and that and the other thing? And this could be a perfect experience to be able to see that because, I don't drink. I'm pretty boring and I eat the same stuff every day. But there is a routine that I have, right? And not everybody understands how that routine is either developed or how to, like, where do you start? Where do you finish? What's important with the routine, and how do you make it so that you can make it not a chore, right? And I think that can be a great way, like you said, like making the meals, like meal prepping is super important. Like a lot of people have a really, really hard time with that.
Yep.
So to be able to kind of see that in person, it could be like, you know what? Not as bad as I thought.
Right.
There could be like tips and tricks to say, hey, don't do it this way, do it this way. It's just going to save you so much more time and it's not going to be aggravating and everything else. So for the people that are just like, I don't know where to start, this could be a perfect experience for that. I have people that ask me all the time, how do you do it? How do you structure it all throughout the day? This is it. If you wanted to see it, this is what you'll see. You'll see me making my meals every day, and you'll see how I do it. And
it's not as overwhelming as they think once they start doing it and getting creative with it and realizing that, this really isn't that like overwhelming once you're actually like able to do it and in a space that's letting you do that every day.
Absolutely. And you're around people that are okay with that. They're all like-minded people. They're not going to be like, why would you do that? That's ridiculous. You know what I mean? They're there to learn, and they're there to, we're all understanding that we're all on the same page, and it's going to be just a fun experience altogether. I think there's a lot to be learned there. So, okay. So in terms of, all right, you opened up for men for the first time, like, what was the reason for your shift in doing that? You know, obviously, like, you know, you're a woman, so it's easier for you to relate to women. And I know that you do have a lot of men clients as well, too, right? But what was the reasoning for saying, hey, you know what, men need this experience too?
So I'm really big on the house. So I almost want to say, like, it probably comes from just originally my upbringing, my family, how, you know, I grew up with my parents, my whole family all together and everything. I think it stems honestly from the structure of a household, and that we have our spaces within a household, and that the people that are responsible for certain things within their home, even if it's just you and your dog like me, it's like I still have responsibilities and things that I'm supposed to be doing in my household to make it run properly, right? So it's like, because of that and because of certain responsibilities, there's always going to be certain things that are weighing on you in that role in your house. So, you know, guys, you know, you think about it and you're kind of like, okay, the protectors, the providers, they're the ones that make sure these certain things get done and stuff like that. And a lot of the time, because of those expectations and those roles and all of that, I feel like a lot of the time people get overlooked, just like how women will feel with certain things in the roles in their household. You know, I'm doing the chores, I'm doing this, I'm working, I'm taking care of kids, all these things. And they feel overlooked in a lot of the things. So guys, it's the same thing. I mean, you can obviously like answer that too.
1,000%.
But so there are things that, you know, guys also want to get better. They also want to understand how to train. They want to understand why I'm not mentally tough in these certain ways, and I'm also like not able to really say anything about it because who am I going to talk to about that? I'm just going every single day.
Right.
So this will allow them to have that place to really figure out what their true potential is, and all that's going to do is help them, help their household, help their family when they get home. Especially if a couple comes and, you know, the girls are with me, the guys are with you and stuff. They're both going to be like just honestly giving themselves a powerhouse to go home to. Yeah. So absolutely.
And I think that's super important too, because with stuff like this, it's an experience, but it's also a way to network with other people, right? So, and I find that for me, having a network of other, you know, people in the industry, you know, for me, especially men that might be either other, you know, business owners or entrepreneurs is always an easier conversation to have when you can talk to people that are in similar boats to you. It might make you feel either better about your situation, or it might actually make you figure out what you're doing maybe wrong or that you could be doing better, right? Yep. You know, for not only yourself, but your family and your business and everything. So I truly believe, and I know you're the same way, that like everything that, you know, happens, whether it's at home or happens internally, can totally reflect outside and can affect all things, whether it be business, whether it be your relationships, whether, you know, relationships with your spouse or with your kids, or, you know, health, you know, that's huge too. So we all know that that's a thing. And if you can't figure that out, then it just can destroy you. And I think that I definitely want to talk about that for sure. But I want to walk through the experience just a little bit more with the retreat itself. Because I know, like, the breakdown for the week, you know, it's 6 nights, 7 days, right? You know, the men and the women both have private villas, you know, and it's, from my understanding, it's right next to the beach too, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Which is pretty awesome. You know, we're going to be doing, I believe, daily workouts, if I'm not mistaken, so, which is going to be huge for me because I'm not going to go anywhere where I can't work out. So I will be there. And for anybody that wants to work out with me, they're more than welcome to. And I am definitely going to be there, you know, coaching up anyways too. So, and the local gyms down there are pretty nice from what I understand. I've never been there. So I love, if there's one thing I love doing, it's when I travel, I love finding gyms. And it's like when people go and play golf, they play golf at different golf courses. For me, it's gyms. I don't know what it is. I just love that. And it's a different experience. Sometimes I get better workouts. Sometimes I don't. But usually if it's a good culture, my workouts tend to be the best workouts I ever had. So I'm excited for that. I know that we're going to be doing some excursions too, which is going to be fun. The workshops, which I know we're going to talk about just in a little bit. And then there's a family dinner, I believe, which you're big on, which I think is huge. And you're also going to have your photographer down there taking photos, which is cool. So I want to kind of talk a lot about, you know, that stuff and kind of, you know, what are the benefits of going down and the experience that you're going to have, whether it be with the workshops or with the excursions or with these workouts at the gym. Like, what is the day in the life in Aruba going to look like for these people?
Okay. So like one of the days, so there's a few things that, for the Aruba retreat in general that are staples of the trip, right? So like, hiking up Mount Huaberg is always going to happen. It's always going to be at sunrise because it gets hot quick. But
what time is sunrise?
It's around, I usually take everyone around like 6:30.
Oh, that's not bad.
In the morning.
Yeah, that's
Correct.
not bad.
Yeah, but some people sleep until noon.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, I know.
But we'll go around like 6-ish a.m. to that. It's like such an awesome way to start the day. So like one day we'll wake up early. We'll all meet together. We'll go hike up this, it's the second highest point on the island, so you can see everything all around you. It's really good in that it's a challenge, but everyone can accomplish it, especially when you're working together. So we'll get to the top of that. We'll get to see the sunrise up there, sit, talk, whatever we want to do up there. Just hang out for a little bit and then make our way back down. Then we'll go back to our houses. We'll eat something. And then we'll get ready and go to either our next workout or a workshop for the day. So our workouts, there's local gyms down there that I use all the time. And it's really cool because there's a specific CrossFit gym that I use, which is Muscle and Lungs. And it's outside, you're under the palm trees. Sometimes it rains during your lift. It's awesome. Just the fresh air and just the vibe is just everything.
Yeah.
And then my gym that I use there is Raw Fitness. And I'll also use Hardcore Fitness, which we'll go into that one too. But for Raw, it's such an amazing gym. I was going there when it was another gym before that, and then they redid everything. And it's a bodybuilding gym.
Yeah.
All new stuff, things that you've never seen anywhere before. So it's really fun to go in there and use all the equipment and everything. But the culture is just so different in the gym. I never wear headphones when I'm there, ever. You won't see me put my AirPods in at all when I lift. People, they get in their lift and then they move on to the next thing. So having that as the part of the culture of, if you've never experienced that before, is going to make you rethink everything when you come back home and get back to your local gym. Fortunately and unfortunately, because they're like,
really.
oh man. And then the workshops are all self-guided. So everybody takes part in them. You're learning something, you're working through something, for one, like goal setting or something like that. Like you're developing an action plan. So it's not just you sitting there listening to me talk. It's fully involved with the whole group, because there's a lot of things with those two where, you've experienced something that I haven't.
Absolutely.
Or the guests that are coming, the participants, they've experienced things that I haven't. Maybe she can answer the question for him over here.
Sure.
That I actually can't answer, but I know someone in this group can. And now she's getting help by helping someone.
Yep.
And he's getting the answer that he needs.
Yep.
So watching those things all work together is great. And then there's downtime every day, once or twice a day for a certain block of hours. So people can go to the beach on their own. They could go walk around, explore, whatever they want to do, read. It doesn't matter.
Sure.
Sleep. So there's always downtime scheduled in the day too. So there's always an activity. There's always downtime. There's always a workshop. And then we'll cook dinner and things like that together. So.
Yep. And a lot of these workshops, and I know some of them are going to be geared more towards, all right, men are talking to men, women are talking to women, but then there's going to be a co-ed conversation in which, everybody can contribute to the conversation, I would assume. Yeah. Yep. So, and like you said, there might be somebody that has experienced something that somebody hasn't, or maybe somebody's going through something and somebody's already been through that, or whatever it may be. And this is honestly where I get a lot of my guidance. Anytime I go to conferences or I'm away, like I always get a lot of value from the people that I talk to, sometimes more than the content itself. So
that's true.
And that's just the way it is. And that's all part of it, and some of these people might be introverts, some might be extroverts. You're going to know once you meet these people for sure.
Yep.
And sometimes these introverts can, really benefit from talking to people that might be on the opposite end of the spectrum with them that they like to have conversations. So, because some of those people have a hard time talking. So it's always good to kind of drag some of this stuff out, and then they might actually be more open to talking about things as time goes on. So, I mean, I found that to be very true with people that are introverts, and then all of a sudden now it's like you can't get them to shut up. So, and that's great. That's awesome. So that's what you want. You want people to feel more comfortable in situations like that. So I know we got mindset coaching, we got goal setting, and then there's also a part that we're going to incorporate, which is recovery, which you usually do. And the benefit of me being there as a physical therapist is we can definitely touch more on recovery aspects, as well as maybe even do some recovery while we're there. If we're training every day and we're moving every day, we might get a little soreness, I'm sure. So having that, as an option is going to be a great tool as well. So not only learning the recovery, but hey, how can you do this to yourself, or how can you, maybe do it to somebody else, So it's a way that you can benefit from the recovery aspect and get the full benefit of the retreat. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So let's pivot a little bit. I know we kind of talked about this a tad. You mentioned talking about what men are struggling with today in terms of the pressures that they have at home and all that other stuff. But from your perspective as a female, and I can certainly add to this as well, what makes men hesitate to maybe, enjoy experiences like this or be in spaces like this, whether it's like they're branching outside their comfort zone and going to a retreat like this, we're like, nah, I don't need to do that. I'm a dude. I'm good. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like what do you think is, because you have men clients too. So I know you probably have these conversations, I've had female coaches, and, it's wild that, I almost sometimes feel more open talking to females than I do men, which shouldn't be, but it is, and what do you think is the reason for that? And, what is this retreat going to help these guys with if they do branch outside their comfort zone and come?
Yep. I actually love this question.
Yeah.
So I think first and foremost, even the word retreat kind of sounds like, oh, girly, like I'm going on a trip with the girls and this and that, right? So like that, I think that right there, guys might be like, oh, I don't need a retreat or whatever. But I'm also the type of person and the type of girl that I'm very, I'm just go. Like it's grit, resilience, like just keep pushing forward, figure it out later, whatever. And I think that there are a lot of guys that honestly relate to me like that. Like when I type an email, it sounds like it's coming from a guy. It's very direct. It's not like there's no fluff at all. But I think with that, and again, it could be, my household and all that stuff, but like, I just feel like I kind of understand certain things, like the vulnerability. You just don't feel like tapping into that. And you don't have to, but it's not just about vulnerability. It's about getting better and figuring out where you need to improve, where you're lacking, where you're succeeding, where you're strong, where you're weak, and things like that. So I think it's that part. I think it's also, honestly, with men and women, it's, you're coming into an environment of, when I tell you that it's rare for the household to come together with people that already know each other unless they've already been on a retreat together.
Sure.
I'll get repeat guests, but I'll have, the age ranges are from, and this is another one, age range is another one where people are like, am I too old? Am I too young?
Sure.
I'm not athletic. It's not, everything is made to be accomplished and to be done for any fitness level. I have people in their mid-20s. You have to be 21 or older on these trips. By the way. The reason why is because we do talk about a lot of stuff, or a lot of things come up or whatever, and it just needs to be age appropriate in general. But mid-20s all the way to mid-60s. I get a lot of people in their mid-60s all the time.
Great.
And they end up helping each other, right? There's a bridge there where they end up helping each other with certain things because of that age gap, which is pretty cool. I get, a lot of people obviously in their 30s and 40s that are coming through. But I think that's a thing. And then also, it comes down to the house thing, do I really want to go like live in a house of guys I don't know and stuff? Well, the girls feel the same way. There are girls that come on these trips that have never been on an airplane before. And I have to help them get through the airport, like talk them through it and things like that. So it's not weird or different or anything to say, do I really want to go stay in a house full of guys? Yeah, man, like come here, come to Aruba, stay in a house full of guys. Like, get some new friends in your life and some people that you can relate to and talk to and just like have a really awesome experience with. Like when we're gonna go train, we're training hard. You know, when we go on these excursions, you're getting to see an amazing, beautiful place and do things that you might never get to do again. So it's that. And then I think also, again, I go back to this a lot because it's co-ed and because this has always been something with this idea in mind as far as a co-ed retreat. I just always want to make it clear that, like, you know, if someone's coming on these trips and they're married, and all the time, I get people, the women, they're married all the time. This is not a party trip. We're not here to go out, to go clubbing, to go do all these things.
Right.
We're here to actually make positive changes in our life and to bring that back home with us, and then to have the confidence and to have the understanding and the knowledge and the education to, like, take that with you through the rest of your life. If you take everything that you learn on a trip and you just roll with it forever and you don't need coaching, awesome. Like, that's amazing. That means that you soaked it all in and now you're good. That's so cool for everybody involved. So I just think that those are kind of like things that might scare people in the beginning, but they're things that they really shouldn't worry about because I said so.
Yeah. I think a lot of these guys too, it's, you know, if you've been through that whole party scene, like we've all been there, you know, and then we grow up, you know, this is probably the transition of your life that you're going through where you're like, all right, maybe I need this, you know, to put this in the past, and then this is what I really want to do in the future, you know. And if you have dreams of doing anything, all this partying and this drinking is only going to hold you back from reaching those dreams and goals, because it's nothing but just a distraction, and it's not a good distraction at that. And, you know, as a guy myself, I can say that we do carry a lot of pressure. It's no doubt. Like, I mean, women do too. We all do, right? I just feel like, and women do this too, and I'm not saying that guys only do this, but a lot of guys will hold this stuff so internal, and then it's like, boom, it just blows, you know? And how can we address this before we have that explosion, you know? Because, you know, this pressure, it's there's so much pressure to, like you said before, it's like providing for your family. It's like performing in your business, you know, performing as a husband or a father, you know, the whole mentality or the masculinity of staying strong and, you know, and all that, like the pressure in the marriage and all that stuff, it just grows, right? And I feel like when we don't have an outlet like that, and if you don't have any friends to talk to, or you don't have any resources to talk to, or you don't have any outlets or whatever it may be, then it just becomes suppression, and we just suppress that. And then over time, that if we don't reflect on that, then it just gets worse and worse and worse. And then that just drips into everything else that we do. Like we were talking about before, like you said, you know, whether it's being a father, whether it's in our health, whether it's in our business, and all those things, you know, there's just so much pressure, and nobody wants to fail. I totally understand that. So, you know, a lot of the pressure nowadays is from social media. It's like, you know, the pressure is, I'm not making enough money, or I don't look like this person. And it's like, it's kind of crazy, right? So, you know, this is also a good way to just throw that shit away and just stop comparing yourself to other people and just start working on yourself. Because, you know, first of all, we all know that most things on social media aren't real, and especially nowadays with AI the way it is. So, so you can't. It's really hard to compare apples to apples or apples to oranges when you're looking online. And you're like, well, is that real? I'm not really sure if it's real. You know, whether it is or it isn't doesn't really matter.
Right.
You
It's
know,
still there.
It's still there. Yeah. So, but the concentration is really just focusing on yourself. And, you know, talking to people that are actually doing it, you know, not just talking to people or watching people do it on social media where it's like, I don't know if they actually do this for real, you know, but this is what we do. You know, we live this lifestyle. So I think it's a great opportunity for anybody that's kind of in that transition where, you know, and also just to say, like, I've spent thousands of dollars on business mentorships and masterminds and all this bullshit. I very rarely invest in my, you know, mental health, you know, which is terrible, you know. I spend a lot of money on my physical health, you know, and a lot of people don't even do that. But you do have a lot of people that will spend tons of money to grow their business, but not spend any money on themselves.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And we all know that if you're spending a ton of money over here on your business, but you're not spending any money on your health, then eventually it's just going to cancel out. It's like, why wouldn't you spend money on both? You know, that's fine. or spend more money on your health first and then, grow your business, because I really feel like a lot of people spend so much time on that. And then what's happening? All right. Yeah. Now we're spending more time working. So we're spending less time with our families or our friends. And then now we're really in isolation and we're alone. And then all of a sudden now we're just depressed or whatever, so it's just, it's a domino effect, right? So for you to spend a ton of money on your business, but not spend any money on invest in your health, I think is crazy. And I think this is a prime example of how, this is probably peanuts compared to what you spend on your business that could only improve your business. Yeah. So why wouldn't you do that? You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And the structure of these trips, like the foundation, I should say, the foundation of these trips altogether is becoming stronger physically, mentally, spiritually. That's what it is. So if you could gain strength in any of those 3 ways, and even better, all of them, then it's only going to benefit your life, whether it's just you, whether it's you and a family, it doesn't matter. Whether it's you at work, it doesn't matter. And it's also, I get people that will come on these and they, going like to the business part of the conversation, they'll start talking about, when we're talking about goals and stuff, not everybody that's coming has a specific fitness goal. They all have a goal with health, obviously, or they wouldn't be there. But I'll have, someone say, you know what, I've actually been thinking over the years of starting just a business about this and that, and I'm passionate about it. I'm like, let's talk about it. Like, this is the space now for you to learn something, for you to get some creativity, like just stepping outside of your day-to-day and trying to re-educate yourself on some things or learn new things. And then that sparks creativity. And now you're like, oh, wait a second, I actually can go and just completely do this thing that I've been wanting to do for my entire life and never thought I could. And it's not even training related, but it came from an environment that was built to allow you to be there and to find that and to talk to the people that are going to help you find it and stuff like that. So it ends up, all those things end up happening on the trips, which is really cool. So,
and I will say too, I think everybody should start working on themselves before they ever try to venture out into whether it's owning a business or starting something cool. Because I heard that. So I had one of my previous coaches in the past. His name was Bedros Keuilian, and he had this quote, and it was, "How you do anything is how you do everything." And I totally believe that to be true. Meaning, like, for example, if you're going to be consistent with all of your meals and you're really regimented on your workouts, and it almost kind of like looks like you have ADD, or OCD for that matter, because I definitely know I have OCD.
I have ADD.
so, and it's a blessing and a curse. However, what people will start to notice is that if you're spending all of this time on all of these things and you're regimented, that you're going to be spending all that time on other things that you do as well, right? Like I spend all of this time on my health, and I spend the same amount of time on my business. Like in terms of the quality of my business is going to reflect the quality of my health and vice versa. So I really think that if people develop a routine and a habit with health, I do believe it can spill over very nicely into whatever they decide to do with their life. And I think that if they haven't yet mastered that, I think they will have a harder time in business or developing a business. So
it's the foundation.
This is the
quality
foundation.
Of life is the foundation. If you can't figure out how to have a good quality of life for the life that you have here, it's like, where are you going to go from there, right?
Absolutely.
So and those are the things that we'll be doing are the things that are going to give you that quality of life for you to have longevity and all that stuff. So
absolutely. And all those things we can definitely talk about on this retreat. It's not just health, like you said. There are so many different avenues that you can dive into this. And when you have people that are 30 years old to 60 years old, you better believe that those people that are in their 60s probably have a lot more experience than you do.
Yeah.
And you probably listen to what they're fucking saying. And that's been my fault. Like, sometimes it's like, whatever, know?
I got
But I've learned over the years that, you know what? They were right. And every time it happens, I'm like, why don't I listen to these people? Well, here it is. So I think that you should probably spend some time and just reflect and say, maybe I'll take it into consideration, even though maybe you two are on totally different opposite ends of the spectrum. Who cares? Like, the experience definitely can help. So I think, I think you're right. I think that, if these men can step away for 7 days and evaluate themselves, I think it can be what they need. I think it's great.
And a lot of people, the last roadblock, I would say, or a big one would be, actually, it might even be the biggest one, is people have a fear of self-reflection. and then taking accountability and ownership for where they're falling short. And you can't get better if you don't take that step first. You are never going to get better if you don't sit there and say, where am I not getting this? Like, where is this not connecting? If you don't take that time to do that, you can't fix the problem. It's not going to happen. It's just like, then you're just putting Band-Aids on all over the place, and it's just going to continue to be a disaster down the line.
Yep.
But that's the scariest part for most people. I'm just one of those like weirdos that's like, where could I do better?
Yeah,
like,
no, and
somebody
that's
tell
true.
me.
Especially in our industry, and I know like in most, probably if not all industries, asking for help is a really hard thing for people to do.
Yeah.
People look at that as a sign of weakness, and quite honestly, I think quite the opposite. And I not only think it's not a weakness, I think that it's your responsibility to figure out what that weakness is.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know what that is, you can't fix it. No. So if you're going to be in denial and think you're the best at everything, then you might want to look in that mirror and have some serious self-reflection, because you're not, and for those people that do, there's the reality check needs to be had. And I think stuff like this and talking to people like this could be something that could maybe trigger them to maybe figure something out. So I think that it would be, I totally agree with you. Like, self-reflection is huge. And I think that more people should do it. I just think that nowadays everybody's just all about ego. So I think if we can get over the ego, I think it'd be great. All right. So we kind of already talked about who the retreat is for. But let's talk about maybe some of the people that like might thrive in an environment like this, or maybe some people that might not be ready for an event like this. I know we talked about, like, for the people that are kind of at their life when they're in that transition where they're, hey, I'm ready to make a change in my life. Obviously, this could be a perfect thing.
Yes.
And these are probably the people that are going to thrive when they're committed to, spending that, not only that kind of money, but also spending a week with people they don't know. So in terms of the people that might not be ready, who might be a person that'd be like, you're not a good candidate for this retreat? I know you want to say nobody, but like, there's going to be people.
I mean, first, the person that is not ready for the retreat is, again, somebody that thinks that they're coming on a discounted vacation to party. You are not coming for, and with that, I vet everyone that comes on these trips.
Yep.
I have a conversation with you on the phone. I want to make sure that you're coming for the right reasons. If you're not, then you can't come on the trip. Like, you're not going to disrupt what's being done on the trip and who's in the households because you're not ready to make certain changes in your life in that way. Or it's going to happen. I need to make sure the houses are safe and things like that. So if that's where you are and that's what you think you're coming into, you're not. So you're not, right. It's not a trip for you.
Right.
I mean, I don't,
Yeah, and I'm not going to party with you, so because that's not my thing. So no. I'll kick you out.
So that's the biggest one. I think.
I love that. I love that.
But yeah, I think honestly, anyone that's just kind of like anybody that's stuck, obviously, anyone that's obviously ready for a change, anyone that's had a health scare that's looking to find their faith again, because that's part of it. Anyone that has never, I mean, it goes into like, if you've never been in the gym before and you're just starting your journey, this is great. This is a great place to start. You're going to get all this information and learn all these things from two professionals for a whole week. So there's that, and help you build confidence. And then to the people, I have people that have come on trips that are competitors and they've obviously trained a lot in the gym. They've stepped on stage and things. And they sometimes need to learn how to take a step back and give themselves some grace, find that thing that they connect to outside of competing in the stage again. And so even people like that I've had come on trips and they're like, you know what, I really needed to just like chill for a second and figure some other stuff out in my life before I just made this completely consume me. So yeah.
That's very true. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. But that's a sport where it can definitely take over your life. And not only can it leave you probably in worse health, but you can lose friends, you can lose family. Yeah, it's not a good place. Yeah, and I think that there is definitely a happy medium where you can still be a competitor, but you can also still enjoy life. Because at the end of the day, as much as we all want to be on the Olympia stage, the reality of it is what's the percentage, right? Don't ruin your life, for something like that. If it's a hobby, right? Like if it's your life, that's one thing, right? Like if it's your career, but if it's a hobby and you're just taking it to that next level, I applaud you. I think that's amazing. but you also have to find the balance. And sometimes it's hard to find. And, you know, you need somebody to literally say, or that somebody that's been through it like yourself for a long time to say, hey, listen, you know, there's more to life than just this, you know, you can still have this, but also have this. You're going to be okay. You know, you're a competitor. You're probably not going to gain 10 pounds of fat in a week. You know, you're going to be fine. So I think that's definitely a good point. I also think like other coaches, I think, would benefit from stuff like this, because I think coaches should always have coaches, and that's just my thing. I think that these coaches are the ones that don't have coaches, the ones that think they know everything, are the biggest hypocrites of them all, because you know, they are telling patients or clients that they need coaches, but yet they don't have a coach themselves. So I think coaches, you know, entrepreneurs, you know, anybody that owns a business or something like that, I think would really benefit for something like this. Like you said, people that are like either just getting into the fitness or wellness scene, or people that are on the other end of the other end of the spectrum and are like competitors, you know, like if you're advanced, you know, you can always learn something, you know, I'm always learning something, you're always learning something. So there might be something that we know that you don't know that might be helpful for you. So, and like you said, people that are feeling stuck, I think that's super important. You know, people that are craving like a deeper sense of community, I think can be super important.
Yes, for sure.
And, you know, maybe just like some of those growth-minded individuals that want to just say maybe, hey, I want to, you know, do something really cool, whether it's start a business or whatever, you know, this is, like you said, the foundation and the first step. So start with your health and then build off your health, you know, because health is the most important thing. You can't buy that. That's what it is. And, you know, if you lose that, you have nothing. So, that's how it works. That's how it works. So let's talk about, and I know when you first told me about this, I'm like, all right, this sounds pretty cool. And then when you sent me the pictures, I was like, wow, this looks really cool. Because the pictures are pretty awesome. So you want to just talk a little bit about the villas themselves? Because I know that there's king beds, there's shared beds, there's, you know, not like shared beds, but there's shared rooms. Yeah, that's what I meant. So let's talk about the environment a little bit in terms of like what people can expect to see when they come to these villas.
Okay. So the houses first of all, the houses that I use for these trips, for all of them, but especially for the Aruba houses, are from the same people that I've been working with since day one. So the houses are beautiful. They're clean. They're within walking distance of Palm Beach. If you've ever been to Aruba, that's honestly, in my opinion, that's the best area to be in, especially because in that area, I want to make sure that the houses are in a place too where when people venture out for downtime and stuff, they don't need, I have a car that I rent, or a van, I should say, for the week. So there's transportation for the group all week, wherever we go. I'm driving you guys around. And then I sometimes have help from locals and stuff for that too. But when it's downtime, it's time for you guys to go explore, go to the beach or go hiking or whatever it is. So that allows you to go somewhere quickly. It's safe. You can figure out where you are pretty quickly, and then you're good to go. So the location is great. It's amazing. And there's tons of also local beaches that a lot of the actual locals go to that are within walking distance too. Sure. If you want to venture out even more. So the location itself is there. The houses are on the same street. So, I mean, I'll be running back and forth between houses to get all kinds of stuff done and everything. But there are going to be times, you know, where we all want to eat at one house or the other house, or pick up one group from the others. Like, they're close together. And then the houses themselves are, most of the rooms are king beds with their own bathroom, private rooms. And then I have a couple of shared rooms where it's two queens in the same room, shared bathroom. Full kitchen that I stock for the week. I always, over the years, I've learned to budget that. Yeah. But I keep the house stocked with the basics all week. So your whole foods, things that we can kind of cook with and use when we're not out and about, or if there isn't like a very specific dinner that we want to make or something like that. Sure. So that way you guys can, you know, if someone needs to cook something on their own, they can, whatever it is. So, and then people also I bring everyone to the grocery store too. So the kitchen's always full kitchen. Both houses have their own pools, which are really nice. There's laundry. So you don't have to bring much if you don't want to. Sure. I mean, yeah, the space is great. Everyone usually just only goes in their room to crash. Yeah. And then like nobody's ever watching TV or anything, which I think is great. Yeah. I don't think I have never seen one TV turned on in any of the houses in all these years
Yeah.
at all, which is great. That's
awesome.
what I hope for.
Yeah.
There's outside seating and things like that, like little areas to just kind of sit, relax, be by yourself if you want to, and things like that too. So the houses have everything that you actually need.
Yeah.
So,
It
and they're
sounds great.
beautiful. And I've stayed at most of them before, so
Yeah.
I know what they look like in person and all
Sure.
that. So
Sure.
the pictures are what they look like.
Yeah, the pictures look awesome. Yeah, if you have not seen the pictures, you have to go check it out. I'll put the link in the show notes for sure. Okay, let's talk about objections that people might have. I'm gonna rapid fire these to you a little bit because
Okay.
you're always gonna get people that are gonna have excuses as to why, and it's not just for this retreat; it's pretty much in life.
Yeah.
So I think the first one that is usually a common objective that I hear for most things is it's too expensive.
Okay.
And what would we say to somebody who says, "Oh, that's too expensive. I can't afford that"?
Okay. Well, I'll drop the price on you,
Yeah.
and then I'll explain to you why that's not too expensive.
Yeah.
So for like a private room, it's $2,600. That does not include your flight,
Right.
because you got to get your own flights. People are coming from different places in the world, and
Yeah, it's hard to
I
manage
can't.
that.
Yeah, I can't do
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
But it's because I run these on my own. Also, remember, I'm not going through like some company and this and that. Everything
Sure.
is built out. Okay, the $2,600. That includes your stay for 6 nights, 7 days. I always
Yep.
backwards that.
6 nights, 7 days.
6
Yep.
nights, 7 days. They're always 6 nights, 7 days. Your whole stay. Like I said, the kitchen, having food in it throughout the week.
Yep.
It includes all the excursions, which are things that we do on the island, like snorkeling and going into the national park, and sometimes ATVs or Jeep rides, whatever it is. So getting to actually go out and explore and things like that.
Yeah.
It includes anything that we're doing involving a gym, so gym passes, class passes, all that stuff. It involves, my coaching for the entire week, all your workshops, literally everything that you do on the trip that is from TFT, so put together into this trip, is included in that. Personal things for shopping, personal food. If you're in prep and you're coming and you need really specific stuff all throughout the week, obviously that's a special thing.
Yeah.
You got to do that
Yeah.
on your own. And then anything where you're walking around and want to buy things for your family, that's
Yeah.
yours. But that, everything else is included. And I also want people to understand that. So with that alone, that's already so many things and so much stuff that you're getting. You're getting a
Absolutely.
swag bag with stuff from TFT and Fit Traveler Collection, all
Nice.
that.
Nice.
So that already is very inexpensive for all those things that you're getting.
Yeah.
On top of that, the back end work, just in general, like the workouts are all, everything is planned, everything is structured, everything is built for a reason. The workshops are, every time I have these workshops, I put them together a certain way. I build them out, and then I redo them again before another retreat, because now there's new information in the world. There's new ways to do things. So it's constantly, it's the same thing as with coaching. Like, your coach isn't just throwing you a program. Your coach is programming for you behind the scenes for hours. So I start working on these, once I start planning one, I'm working on it until the day we get there. And then I'm working with you guys and coaching you for a whole week straight. The entire time until I'm asleep for the night. Yep. So, it's pretty inexpensive.
Yeah, when you break
When
it
you really
down,
think
so
about it.
yeah, it's a great point, and this is
So.
this is the perceived value, and this is a lot of things that people have a hard time with, and understanding what the value actually is, and it's not just the trip itself; it's everything that you're getting with the trip, and quite honestly, just the coaching alone is a deal. Our prices are not cheap. So anybody going to come and see me, they're going to pay over $200 an hour. So just figure that out and do that math.
I do that.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. So so it's like people, if they actually did the math, and you're having, all of these hours accessible to coaches like that usually charge people a lot more for that, you're getting a fucking deal. So not only do I say you're getting a deal, but take advantage of that time. So
and you're also you're also getting it so that you pay the deposit is $500. That's always the case, and that comes off the balance of whatever room that you're choosing. And then everything else is broken down into monthly payments on invoicing evenly until a certain amount of days before the trip.
Right.
So it's almost like so it's a few $100 or whatever it is a month to finish paying for your trip, so that you can get your flights and things like that. So I try to make it as easy and simple for everybody so that they don't have to stress it. I want it to be something that's seamless and not a stress. I want them to come and enjoy themselves and not worry about things like that, especially, you know, because you have to figure out the other stuff that you got to do in your life to go away for a week.
Right.
But yeah, I try to keep it simple. I try to just keep it, you know, that's what it is, and let's just go get this stuff done and have fun.
Yep.
So.
Great. That answers that question. All right. One other common objective that people are going to have is, I can't take a week off. What do you say to people that say they can't take time?
I say that unless you're military.
Yeah. That's a great point.
That military family, and you really can't take the week off.
Yeah.
Unless they tell you can.
Yeah.
But where, you know, this kind of goes almost into like a money mindset as well. Where are you investing your time instead of where are you investing your money, right? So if I want to have a better quality of life and there are things I could do about it financially, you know, do I really need this bag, or do I really need those shoes or whatever? Or can I take that and now put it into something that's going to help me in every other way in life forever? So it's the same thing with time, right? I know that people may not get a certain amount of time off to spend with their families and things, which is why I always try to plan these trips like at a time where, okay, it's not going to take away from a certain, you know, from Christmas or
like
something.
Holiday,
and then it's not going to take away from, it's not too close to this, that they're not asking for time off if they have to, too close to. So I try to be really conscious of that stuff. But at the end of the day, like taking a week out of your life to go do something that, honestly, like if you talk to any of the people that have ever come on any of these trips, and the testimonials are up, but you can literally just talk to them. They, to this day, years later, they're still implementing the things that they learned on these trips that has changed their life for the better.
Oh, for sure.
And they've also now have their friends and their family taking part in the things that they've learned, and they come back on other trips. So also I do offer a discount if you're a repeat guest.
There you go.
Because I do have people that continuously come back. But there's no reason to not invest in yourself time-wise that way, because you're only going to benefit from it, and every single person that comes benefits from it in just ways that I couldn't even imagine. So, yeah, it's not an excuse.
Yeah, I agree. And you never want to be that person, because it's never going to be the right time to do anything like that, right?
No,
but you have to make it the right time. Yeah, like you said, you have to prioritize the time. And just for people listening, like I'm going during the week. It's my birthday, and I'm still going to fucking go because I want to go. You know, I want to help people, and, you know, it's an experience, right? So, yeah, okay, I'm going to miss my birthday. Big deal. You know what I mean? So it's not a big deal for me because I can see the value in the trip, you know? If you have something else going on maybe that week, could it go to another week? Or is it a priority? Is it something that you're saying it's a priority, but it's not? You know what I mean? Like, oh, my favorite series on Netflix is starting that week. I can't go. Not something stupid like that, but you know what I mean? So it's you really have to prioritize time.
Yep.
And I think this is the first step in figuring out how you need to prioritize that time. Like you said, you know, to, you know, put from this bucket into this bucket, and then it just makes sense. Like you just have to. Yeah, you have to. And this could be the first step to do that. Okay, last one, and I know you kind of answered this one a little bit, but I don't know anybody there.
You don't know anybody there?
Yeah, no idea who those people are.
Most of the people coming don't know anybody there.
I don't know anybody.
That's true.
Except for you.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that I personally, it's funny because I've had to, over the years, learn how to understand that a little better with people, because I am one of those people that have always, you know, I'll travel alone. I'll go do these things and learn things and see things and all this stuff. But that's usually not the case for people. That is not common for people to think that way.
Absolutely.
So first and foremost, it takes a lot to trust somebody to basically take your life in their hands. But as a coach, we do that every day anyway. We are literally taking your life in our hands when we're not just spotting you at the squat rack, but giving you a nutrition plan or giving you a workout or whatever it is. So understanding that, I know that this is something, if you're willing to take that step in your life, I'm going to make sure with steps and my due diligence that your trip is going to feel as comfortable as it can be. And you know what? Are there going to be people that don't get along? Maybe. We're all adults. Usually everyone gets along great, and the houses fall into place exactly how they're meant to, which has been very cool and has been a blessing. And this is year 6.
Yeah.
Some years, multiple trips a year. So the houses always tend to fall into place with who's supposed to be there at that time. But, you know, you can meet your best friend. I have people that come on these trips that met on a trip years ago, and they meet on a trip every single year.
That's cool.
And that's where they meet. They live completely across the country from each other. And it's the coolest thing because they never would have even known that each other existed if they didn't take that week out of their lives to just come and try to do something for themselves. And now they have someone that's like a great friend in life. So it's just kind of like, you just have to honestly just take that step and take that risk and understand that, yeah, you're coming into a new environment that's going to be new for pretty much anyone that's never even gone on a trip like this before. Most people, a retreat house and going on a trip like this is not common.
Totally.
Like when you go on vacation with even a group of friends or whatever it is, you're still with at least one person that you know, right? So this isn't a common thing, but it's usually something that's going to change your life in so many ways for the better, that you're going to end up walking away just so happy that you took that risk and that chance.
Right.
So, and I'm not going to let you, fail. You're not going to let them fail. We're not going to let you, if you want to, if you want to talk about it or whatever, or you're stressed out, or, you don't know what to do because you're in a house of new people, then just come talk to one of us about it, because that's what we're there for, is to talk about stuff and, okay, cool. Like, let's figure this out. And,
Yep. That's why they're there. Yeah. That's why they're there. I love it. Is there anything else you want to add about the trip that we didn't cover? Is there anything we missed that you could think of that might be important for people to know?
Just that, Aruba itself is a very special place to be. If you've never been before, or if you've only been there to go drinking or something. So if you've never really experienced the island itself, the locals, the environment, obviously like the gyms and stuff, the national park, the beaches, like there's just so much beauty and so much, it's just I've been all over the world. I've been to the Caribbean, all over the Caribbean, multiple times in my life. This is totally my parents' fault because they were bringing me when I was a kid to the Caribbean. So they have themselves to blame. But, when I say that my first time there, it became home. I mean that from like the bottom of my heart. Every single time I've had to rethink things in my life and I'm there, I spark this new creativity that I need. I end up finding something in myself that I didn't have before. And that is the only place that has ever been that for me. So getting to actually go experience a place in this way instead of in the way where most people will go to vacation somewhere and just stay in the tourist areas and drink on the beach and stuff like that. Like, you're getting something that's very special that I just think is really important to note, that you're going to get an experience that most people aren't going to get, or anybody, unless they come on one of my trips.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I've never been to Aruba, so I'm excited, but I know a lot of people that have, and they say the same thing. So I'm excited for it. I've only heard great things about Aruba itself. So I think it's the perfect environment to do something like this, I think that's awesome. Anything else? You got anything else you want to add? I know that was great.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, just take a chance on yourself. Like, you deserve better. Even if you're at your best right now, you still deserve better than that. Yeah. So just don't be afraid to like take that extra step and like just have some faith and just, I don't know, come do something that's going to change your life and enjoy it. Like, it's going to be fun. It's always fun.
Absolutely.
So.
Yep. And just to recap, it is Aruba, and it's July 16th to the 22nd. First co-ed retreat ever. This is the 6th year she's done it. It's not the first time, people, so it's not like you're the guinea pigs. It's very well organized. Yes. And I will say there's limited spots because I know the spots are filling up. So for those that are interested, let Nikki know as soon as possible. And then I will let Nikki share her information where you can reach out to her. I'll also put it in the show notes too, so that people can reach out to you.
Yes.
I will have all that information on there for people that, if they are interested, they could just click the link. But where could people find more information about these retreats for you? I know you got a whole page set up for it. So. Yep.
So if you go to tftretreats.com, that's going to bring you to the actual retreat website. You can also find me, Nikki Alliegro, on Instagram. And I have the links to everything there, but also if you just want to DM me, I can send you everything as well, like the links to what you need, because obviously the retreat page has its own Instagram too, which is the Fit Traveler Retreats. So, but either way, if you just have to reach out, just reach out and I'll get you the information and we'll figure it out from there.
Great. I love it. Yeah, I love it. And I think this is a perfect opportunity for me to say, if you are a male or a female And if you've been waiting for a sign to step into like the next version of yourself, this could be the trip for you. So
this is your sign.
This is your sign. This is your sign. So if you've ever wanted to be at Aruba, or you ever wanted to take advantage of like in-person coaching, or learn about ways to improve your overall well-being, or your mental health, or your physical health, or whatever it may be, you got a full week to do that.
Yes.
So, and you will have our undivided attention.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of take homes, and we're both excited to do that for you guys. And if you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out. And if you sign up, we look forward to seeing you there.
Yep, we'll see you there.
Awesome.
Thank you for joining us in the rack this week. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. You can also find us online at proformptma.com or on social media at proformptma. And remember, if you train inside the rack, you better be thinking outside the rack.